Hello, everybody. It's Bani and Maria, and we are glad to be back and seeing you this week. So, Bani and I were having a conversation earlier today, and we were talking about criticism and when somebody gives us criticism that might not necessarily feel or be constructive. And, Bani, you shared a really interesting story with me. I'd love for you to share it with everyone.
Oh, yeah. So I remember back when I first started teaching school, and I took over for someone who was teaching for a very long time, and I was a brand new teacher right out of college. And so at the first parent teacher conference of this one, a mom of one student who she was very a high level student, and I knew the mom was very particular, but she said to me at the parent teacher conference, she goes, all of my worst nightmares about you taking over this position have come to be. And so I just was like totally devastated, and I just want to like crawl under the table and cry. And I think I did when I went home, not crawl under the table, but I think I did cry when I got home about that. But yeah, that kind of stung how she said that.
But definitely not feeling constructive.
Right, right. Yeah. But in our conversation, as we were talking about it, and about when someone does criticize us in a harsh way, because some people do use language that's really harsh. I find when I want to give someone some criticism, I tend to like soften and sugarcoat so much, but not everyone does that. And we do want people to share, but we talked about how if we could just try to see what their intent was. Yeah. And later, as years went on and I gained my confidence as a school teacher, when a parent would come in criticizing me, I was able to realize that, wow, they love their child so much, and they really want the best for their child. And I would try to see what their intent was, what the message was, how I could help them make sure their child's needs were getting met. So that's where we were going with that conversation.
Yeah. And I like that, because what you're really saying is you put yourself in a different place, right? You didn't go to it's something about me. You really opened yourself up to understanding, okay, what is it really? What was there? We call it assuming positive intent. It's one of my favorite mantras, so to speak, of myself, is when someone says something to me that maybe doesn't feel great, I assume that whatever they're saying might be coming out not how they intended it to, and that they're really trying to say something in a positive and with positive intent. So, you took yourself to that place. Now, here's what I like is that you said, after the next few meetings, I knew where the parents were coming from. Like I was able to put myself in that balanced, harmonious place. And then I think where we went to after this conversation was, now it's our task too to be able to handle that with to talk to a person about how that made us feel, right? To now, because I had a similar experience where someone said something to me recently that came out in a harsh way, and I could have easily gone down that path of, wow, that was mean, that was nasty, they were saying something horrible about me. But I stopped and I thought, okay, I reflected on it. And I said, okay, what was really going on here? What did this person really what did they mean? What could they have meant? Yeah. And how am I taking it, right? Am I taking this in the wrong way, possibly? Just reflecting on the experience itself, but then knowing that I had to speak my truth. I needed to be able to go back so that resentment didn't build up, and so I had a clearing that I was able to go back to that person and say, hey, you know what? You said this, and I'm pretty sure I know what you meant. This is how it felt, and I grew from it. I learned from it, but maybe there's a different way that you can say that to me, so that I just want to get that out on the table, that I felt not so great about that conversation. And it was cool because the person was like, oh, that came out that way. I didn't mean it in that way. This is what I meant. Right. And I was like, cool, great. Yeah. That's good.
Right. And then the two of you are back like, okay, we're good with each other now because we can clear the air and talk about it and clarify. But I think a lot of times people do react maybe and say something harshly out of a place of like, I think this parent was in a place of fear for her child that, is she going to learn everything she needs to excel and be successful? And maybe the person who said something harshly to you, they had fear. There was fear behind, if someone criticizes us, if we can understand they're coming from this really fear, panicky place about something, and we can kind of be intuitive about, okay, what's behind it, like you did. And
yeah, for sure. Great. So what do you think would be a great call to action for our audience here today on this topic?
Yeah, I think to be able to step back, because a lot of times when someone first comes with a criticism that's harsh and does like hurt, we're not able to do this right away. But if we kind of take ourselves away and take some deep breaths and calm ourselves down from the upset, and try to put ourselves in their shoes a little bit. Like, what was really going on with them? They were really, ill at ease. They're really afraid about something. What could it be? So put yourself in their shoes, try to see what was behind it.
Yeah.
And then I love what you said about like speaking your truth. Like,
huge.
That part.
Right. That could be another topic for another day. Speaking the truth, that's a big one.
Yeah.
So cool. Thank you. Yeah. So thanks for watching. We appreciate your comments, and we look forward to seeing you next week.